You know, after 60, balance is one of those things you just suddenly think about. Usually, for the first time, it happens in your 60s. Not because you're falling, but because you're noticing the ground more. You notice turns more. You notice how you move. And that awareness can feel unsettling if you don't understand it. So being aware can feel kind of unsettling, but then once you move into it, it becomes second nature. So today as I walk, I want to talk about balance after 60. What's actually changing and why noticing isn't a bad thing. So hi, I'm Kevin. I'm out for my walk today, and I wanted to talk about balance after 60. Not exercises or drills. I may cover that later. Just right now we're talking about everyday awareness. I'm not a doctor, coach, or a lawyer. I'm just sharing what I've noticed and what happens to me as I live to become better in my 60s. So the problem, the problem isn't balance itself. The problem is how we interpret that newfound awareness of balance. As things get older, unfortunately, you hear the stories about, people slipping and falling and hurting themselves. So when you start noticing balance after 60, it's easy to think something is wrong. You might wonder, am I getting unsteady? Should I be worried? Is this the start of something sinister and dangerous? And that thought process can create a little bit of hesitation. And hesitation, not balance, is often what makes movement feel less confident. Awareness without understanding can quietly turn into unnecessary worry. See, like things like this, watch. See this in the path? In the path while you're walking and you're not looking. The next thing you know, you stumble over that. So awareness without understanding can quietly turn into unnecessary worry. So what I've noticed, movement improves balance. My balance feels best when I'm moving regularly, on my regular walk. Obviously, I take walks almost every day. You can see that in my videos. So, movement improves balance. My balance feels best when I'm moving regularly, right? Walking keeps everything connected and responsive. Sitting too long makes it worse. Sitting too long. When I've been sitting too long, things feel a little less steady, not weak, just disconnected. You got to get out and move. Rushing hurts balance. When I rush, I feel less balanced. That's why on these walks, I'm here to walk. I'm not rushing. I do these videos and then I usually continue to walk so I can get my total walk in. So, yeah, when I rush, I feel less balanced. So these walks are devoted to walking in no hurry. But not because I can't move, because I'm not fully present when I'm rushing. I notice how I walk. You ever notice that? I do, especially because I walk every day. So when I start my walk, You know, there's certain things that I do. That's my little friend. You hear him bark. I've started paying attention to the mechanics of how I walk, how my feet land, just initially, how my posture feels, how my stride settles in. If I notice this at the beginning of the walk, my body seems to remember it, and the rest of the walk feels smoother and more automatic. You want your walks to be automatic. One of the best ways is to be aware of your first few steps, how you walk it. Don't put too much tension where you get shin splints. That's because you're trying too hard, putting too much pressure on your shins. That awareness early on creates muscle memory that carries me forward. How I think about balance now. Balance after 60 isn't about being fearless or pushing limits, right? We just want to do the things that make us feel good at this point in our life. We're not about pushing limits. So it's about, what I think about now is it's about staying aware, moving with intention, and giving your body time to settle into rhythm, right? That's how I walk. I watch, especially if I'm going long distance, I make sure, first of all, how things are settling in on my walk. Am I walking too fast, causing my shin splints, my shins to hurt? Is it, just think about that as you're first starting a long walk. Make sure everything's settled in, and then it'll be easier to walk. So it's about staying aware, moving with intention, and giving your body time to settle into rhythm. Practical adjustments. There are a few small things I naturally do now. I look ahead instead of down. So I look ahead instead of down. I notice changes in the surface. I take turns a little slower and smoother. I give myself time to adjust while I walk. Nothing dramatic, just awareness. So noticing balance after 60 doesn't mean something is wrong. Most of the time, it means you're more aware, and awareness is actually a strength. So awareness is actually a strength you can use. So for me, balance after 60 isn't about strength or fear. I'm about awareness, presence, and trusting my body as it moves. Thanks for walking with me today. Look at that, I just took a turn and I was aware. See how it helps? So thanks for walking with me today. Next video will probably be about mobility, or it could be about, we'll see. So what I want you to do is stick with me, go on more walks, maybe subscribe so that you can see all the new videos that come out. I'll give you pretty much one a day, except for the weekends. I usually don't, but sometimes I do. A little bonus for you. So thank you so much for watching my video. I hope it helps. So I'm continuing my walk. I love to walk. And look what I'm walking. I know a lot of people are under snow in Las Vegas. That's why I love Las Vegas. The fall, winter, and spring are so beautiful here. It's the 4 to 5 months during summer See, look at that. Big old rock in the way. This thing, sometimes a lot of stuff gets tossed out by kids and things like that. No biggie. Just be more aware. So, yeah, again, I have a craps channel, Craps with Kevin, and I have a Vegas video, YouTube channel that's all about, you know, going through Vegas, eating, going through the hotels, eating at buffets, restaurants, and also just enjoying local attractions. So that's Helpful Journey. So all one word, just Helpful Journey and Craps with Kevin. You can look it up on YouTube. But thank you so much for sticking with me, and talk to you soon.